So I had a dream last night and it was interesting to me. I thought I would share it with you guys. It was really this morning. My alarm went off. I fell back asleep for a few minutes and dreamt this dream during that time. Now, right as I was falling asleep, I heard, "I will give you a dream." Alright, already interesting enough. Um, and so I fall asleep and I start dreaming of being a child. Everybody around me is children, and um, we're all running to go to this field. It's on the other side of a fence. We're all like cutting through the fence. And once we get over to the field, we all kind of take our positions and we're waiting. We're waiting for somebody to start speaking. And so while we're waiting there, and we're all waiting like for this person to come out and like choose people, um, I start to hear this girl behind me, and she's like starts wailing, like crying, and she's crying louder and louder and louder. And I turn around to see what's happening, and I see she's looking at me, and I am the reason she's crying. And she's yelling at me, "I'm jealous because of envy. I'm jealous because of envy." And I'm like really taken aback. Like, I don't know why she's jealous. And um, I want to calm her down. And so I start running after her because she takes off running. And I'm chasing her, and she gets through the fence again, and she ends up on a fire escape for an apartment complex. And then, like, next thing I know, I've lost her. But now I'm inside one of the apartments, and I see there's this business where it's like there's these cakes this person is baking. And these cakes, they're like chocolate cakes. They're kind of strange because they're like sweet, but they look kind of like bread, maybe bread kind of cakes. I'm not sure. And but they have M&Ms all over the top. It's very much like something like a dessert, something sweet and um, like satisfying. I don't know. It was strange. It was something I hadn't seen before. And this little boy shows up. He's going to start selling some of these cakes and work for this business. So the man gives him some cakes, and the boy goes off to sell them. Well, the boy returns a little while later. He'd sold the cakes, and he comes back in the room. And now there's another little boy who's helping to make more cakes with the man who was there. And it was assumed before that the man was the person in charge. But it's very clear now that it's not the man, it's actually the other little boy. And the little boy who's just returned from selling the cakes from working, he kind of looks incredulous. He had come back to get more cakes, but he looks kind of like he's not sure like the business is going to survive. Or like this is a good idea. Like, yeah, I'm working for a kid. And it was kind of like a weird thing. But you could tell he also was sold. He was bought in now. Even though he was a little, shaky about it, he was um, on the team. Like he was going to continue. And the boy who is in charge speaks to him, and he says to him, if you knew you were working for me, would you still have come?" And the boy was dissatisfied, but he was committed, and so he was just gonna continue. That was how the dream ended. And so I don't think I actually knew that the boy was going to continue working um, with the other boy until the end of the dream. I think I maybe surmised or read into too much prior to that, because I don't think that was the order that happened in. But the boy comes in dissatisfied and confused as to what the other boy is doing there and why it seems like he's in charge. And then the other boy discloses the one who's in charge, discloses to the boy who was selling cakes that he's actually the one that he's selling the cakes for. And then it's clear the boy's going to continue selling the cakes, but he feels a little not sure. So this dream seemed pretty clear to me in certain ways and really confusing in others. Now, the part with the little girl, I don't recognize. That I don't understand. Why she was yelling, "I'm jealous because of envy." That was interesting. So I don't know what was going on with that part. But I think we were at the field waiting for God to pick us. And it was a weird thing. And I think when I ended up viewing the scene in the apartment, that was a question to me. You know, if you knew you were working for me, would you still have come? And I've had a strange relationship with Jesus, and it's been a difficult one for me to reconcile because it's one that I feel ashamed to say, because I've always thought of God as greater, as first, and then Jesus as second, in power or glory or whatever. And I don't think that's true. But for whatever reason, my heart has always been postured that way, and it's something that I don't feel proud of. Like, as a Christian, it's a difficult thing. But it is, the way that Jesus references the Father. The Father is the authority, right? In a kind of an archetypal way, fathers are authorities over children. And that's kind of the way that I take it. Jesus relates a lot to God. But then there's other things that he says. I am within the Father and the Father is within me. Or, before Abraham was, I am. In that statement there, like, he's using the name of God. And it seems very clear to refer to himself. And if that be the case, then there is no lesser and there is no higher. Right? And so it's hard because I've been coming back to my faith, with a relationship with God. And more so than with Jesus. And that's difficult because that's kind of left me in the Old Testament in a lot of ways, in the way that I'm relating in my faith. And so I'm very much in the wrathful, angry God relationship, where I really am concerned about doing everything perfect and trying to be better in every way, while at the same time probably expecting more than is possible for me, knowing that I'm expecting more than is actually possible for me, and not recognizing that that's not the relationship we're meant to have. That Jesus changed that relationship, and in not recognizing that, I'm not really living up to the standard, and I can't live up to the standard, and that's why Jesus saves us. It's because nobody can keep the standard. I mean, I'm sure there are those carried off by chariots into heaven, but they're pretty few and far between. And Jesus changed that, you know? So, I don't know. I think the message that I got was, at the end of it, is that I'm afraid to accept the authority of the child, even though that's the authority I'm under. And that what he has to sell seems almost too sweet to be true or to be trustworthy or almost bad for you, right? Like, you shouldn't eat bread that looks like cake and is covered in M&Ms. It's too delicious. You get diabetes. That's, as silly as it sounds. But that's how I feel, I think, sometimes in relationship to Jesus. And so there's a part of me that feels like the wrathful, angry God is more real. And that's not true. Like, I know that's not true. I know that's not true in my heart, but my mind wants to go there. My mind, it's like I'm conditioned to believe that the one who is most powerfully able to hurt you is the one in charge, and that's not true. Right? There are, and I'm not saying that God is all anger and wrath. No, he's always constantly talking about all the terrible things Israel is doing, and then how he's gonna give him another chance over and over and over. So he is merciful, but there's this aspect of Jesus where he says, do not return, what does he say? I just got it mixed up with Martin Luther King. Yeah, return violence for violence. But essentially, I mean, it's the same thing. And I think that's where Martin Luther King took it from. But, and I think it was actually Paul. I gotta read the Bible some more. I'm struggling here. Anyway, but point being, sometimes I don't feel like I can trust that anything can love me enough to accept me as I am. And I feel like I have to be different to be acceptable. And that's not true. And I feel like as I've been coming back to my faith, I've been coming back in a posture that says I'm relating to the God of the Old Testament, when all the time I've been praying to and speaking with the God of the New Testament, the New Covenant. And I guess I gotta get that through my thick head and make it real to me, my heart, and not constantly wait to be smited, because I feel that I'm waiting for a fireball or a stroke or something. A lightning bolt just gonna hit me as I'm getting out of my car one day, and that's not gonna happen. I don't think. I hope. I'm pretty sure. So, anyway, Jesus is good. He loves you. He is giving you delicious cakes covered in candy to eat. And it's okay to eat it. It won't give you diabetes. It's good for you. Vitamin cake. So, alright. See ya.